At 0430 hours local time, the first Ukrainian AN-196 Liutyi drone roared off its launch rail from a concealed position near Sumy, followed by another every 20 seconds. Across 3 other launch sites, 340 more drones were simultaneously lifting off in the largest coordinated swarm attack in military history. While the launches had proceeded flawlessly so far, this would all change in a matter of minutes. Unknown to the Ukrainian operators, Russian early warning radars had detected the mass launch, and 4 Iskander-M missiles were already screaming toward the launch sites at Mach 5.9. With an 11-minute flight time and devastating 700-kilogram warheads, the crews had just seconds to get their remaining drones airborne before the sites were obliterated. Fortunately, Ukraine's strategy was about to prove why splitting this massive swarm into 4 separate forces was absolutely brilliant. At 0600 local time, the northern force crossed into Russia near Sutsa, descending to 500 meters as the most challenging part of the operation began. These 95 drones from Sumy faced the longest route, arcing north to avoid the S-400 batteries protecting Kursk. Their Skynode S systems, the AI brain controlling each drone, detected the first emissions from a 92 N6E gravestone radar, Russia's most advanced targeting system, capable of tracking aircraft at a range of 400 kilometers. But the AN-196's composite construction, if you look here at the drone's carbon fiber body, gave it the radar signature of a large bird, making it nearly invisible to systems designed to track metal aircraft. Russian operators struggled to distinguish contacts from clutter as the drones hugged terrain, their AI comparing real-time sensor data against satellite imagery to maintain concealment behind hills while dodging power lines. The S-400 battery fired 2 interceptors at phantom returns before realizing their mistake. When the northern force cleared the engagement zone at 0608 hours, they'd lost 12 drones to navigation errors in the rough terrain, not enemy fire. 100 kilometers south, the Poltava-launched Southern Force entered a different kind of battle at 0610 hours. Russian electronic warfare units had created a GPS dead zone extending 200 kilometers along this corridor, broadcasting jamming signals at 500 watts across all navigation frequencies. For conventional drones, this would be impossible to get through. The lead drone, Skynode S, detected the jamming and seamlessly switched to visual navigation mode. Its cameras identified the M4 highway below, comparing the road's curves against stored imagery. Behind it, 85 drones followed in a loose formation, each processing thousands of calculations per second. They traced highways and rail lines like breadcrumbs through the electronic wilderness. The Southern Force emerged from the jamming zone, having lost only 8 drones, all to mechanical failures from the compressed launch procedures. But what these swarms went through paled in comparison to what the Eastern Force faced. At 0615, 4 Su-35S fighters scrambled from Voronezh Air Base, each loaded with 12 R-77-1 missiles for drone hunting. The flight leader split his formation, taking his wingman north while the other pair swept south. However, the Irbis-E radar, designed to track fighter-sized targets, struggled to track the tiny drones flying just 200 meters above farmland. The pilot descended to 1,000 meters, risking ground fire to get below the drone's altitude. His radar finally locked on to a cluster of returns. The first R-77-1 launch tracked true, detonating a drone in a small fireball. At 25 million rubles per missile versus 200,000 per drone, Russia was losing the economic advantage. The flight expended 32 missiles, destroying 15 drones before fuel considerations forced them home. The Eastern Force pressed on with 65 survivors. At 0622 hours, the Decoy Force executed its sacrificial gambit. These 80 older drones, modified commercial units never expected to reach Cheboksary, suddenly climbed to 5,000 meters while activating radar enhancement devices. To Russian sensors, they appeared as high-priority cruise missiles vectoring toward Moscow. Radar operators across the network reported multiple cruise missiles inbound. Every available fighter was diverted to intercept. 6 more Su-35Ss launched from Leypisk. S-300 batteries energized tracking radars. For 8 glorious minutes, Russia's entire air defense network focused on the decoy force. The sacrifice was complete by 0630, all 80 decoys destroyed, but they'd drawn 12 fighters and over 100 surface-to-air missiles away from the real attack. As burning debris rained across western Russia, 3 main forces converged undetected. At 0725, 180 kilometers from Cheboksary, the moment arrived. The Northern Forces' 83 survivors met the Southern Forces' 78 and the Eastern Forces' 65, forming an aerial armada of 226 drones. The convergence had lost 115 drones, but those remaining would be more than enough. In 65 minutes, Russia's premier weapons facility would face the swarm. By 0830 local time, the first wave of 40 Ukrainian drones crested the final ridgeline before Cheboksary, immediately triggering every air defense radar in the city. Behind them, 186 more drones approached in 4 distinct waves, spaced 90 seconds apart. 6 Panzer S-1 systems protecting the facility faced an impossible equation: 226 targets versus 72 ready missiles and finite ammunition. The lead Panzer's 1 RS-2 radar practically screened with target alerts, tracking symbols multiplying across the operator's screen faster than he could count. The system could engage 4 targets simultaneously, but 40 drones approached from this sector alone. He launched his first pair of 57 E-6 missiles at the closest threats, already knowing the math didn't work. The first wave executed textbook swarm tactics at 0830. As missiles streaked toward them, groups of 4 drones suddenly scattered in different directions: up, down, left, right, forcing each missile to choose a single target. The Skynote S systems communicated through encrypted burst transmissions, coordinating evasive maneuvers. When a 57 E-6 detonated near one drone, 3 others used that moment to find an opening where a missile likely couldn't hit them and then sprinted through those gaps. Meanwhile, the Eastern Panzer faced the second wave of 45 drones approaching in a step formation. 20 flew at 500 meters altitude, while 25 hugged the ground at 50 meters. The operator faced an impossible choice: engage the high targets that his radar tracked easily, or the low ones that could pop up at any moment. He chose the high group, launching 4 missiles in rapid succession. As his missiles climbed, the low-altitude drones accelerated toward the facility. The other drones decided to take advantage of the thick white smoke trails filling the sky. By following along or near them, the drones used the intense heat of the smoke to throw off infrared sensors, the smoke itself to mask them visually, and the trail's composition to hide in radar clutter. To the Russian operators and sensors below, everything is normal. But this is far from it, using the Panzer's own missile smoke as a cover. By 0831 hours, each Panzer's 2A38M 30mm twin-barrel autocannons joined the fight across all sensors. 6 streams of 30mm tracers created interlocking fields of fire, but the drones flew through them like water through a sieve. The third wave, 50 drones strong, had learned from watching the first 2. They approached in a loose cloud formation, constantly varying speed and altitude. When tracers concentrated on one group, others would dash forward. When a Panzer swiveled to engage new targets, previously targeted drones resumed their approach. The hidden 3rd Panzer finally revealed itself at 0832, launching 6 missiles simultaneously at the 4th wave. Ukrainian planners had expected this. Rough calculations suggested 5 to 7 defense systems based on the facility's value. This wave of 51 drones responded with coordinated countermeasures. The missile's radar seekers, designed to track single large aircraft, struggled to maintain a lock on small targets executing identical maneuvers with a cloud of radar reflections. By 0832, it wasn't looking good for the Russians. The 6 Panzer systems had expended 38 missiles and achieved 31 hits, an impressive 82% success rate that would doom any conventional attack. But 195 drones remained airborne, now inside the minimum missile range. The operators switched to autocannons, but each system could only track 1 target at a time with guns. 6 targets engaged meant 189 flying unbothered. At their speed, they didn't leave too many chances for re-engagement. The swarm demonstrated its true advantage at 0833, distributed intelligence. Instead of individual attacks, the Skynote-S systems had coordinated groups of 8 to 10 drones to converge on specific targets simultaneously, ensuring that even if half were shot down, enough would impact to guarantee destruction. Building 2. The critical Kometa antenna assembly facility faced 15 drones approaching from different angles. Even if the nearest Panzer destroyed 5, 10 would impact. 12 drones targeted the support facilities in Building 3. The main production hall drew 20. This wasn't random destruction, it was systematic dismantlement. Ukrainian programmers had incorporated learning algorithms into the Skynote-S systems. As drones observed successful penetration routes, they transmitted this data to following waves. By 0834, the swarm had mapped every Panzer's location, reload time, and traverse limits. Late-arriving drones curved their approaches to exploit blind spots, flying through zones where overlapping coverage should have existed but didn't. The final 60 seconds saw the air defense network's complete collapse. Panzer crews, trained for measured engagements against cruise missiles or aircraft, found themselves in a knife fight with a swarm of wasps. Ammunition depleted rapidly. Each system carried only 700 autocannon rounds per barrel, enough for 42 seconds of continuous fire. As guns ran dry one by one, larger groups of drones penetrated unopposed. At 0834, the facility's defenders could only watch as over 120 drones entered their terminal dive phases simultaneously. But the real destruction was about to begin, and would unfold faster than anyone thought possible. At 0835 local time, the first wave of 28 drones struck within a catastrophic 15-second window. Buildings 2, 3, and 4 absorbed simultaneous impacts, their reinforced concrete disappearing in clouds of dust and flame. The precisely timed strikes gave damage control teams no chance to respond. 5 separate infernos raged before fire crews could reach their vehicles. The second wave's 35 drones targeted support infrastructure. The power substation exploded in showers of sparks, while water pumping stations disappeared in sequential blasts, crippling fire suppression. Emergency systems failed in cascade, backup power, communications, and lighting gone within seconds. Chemical storage areas became force multipliers at 0836. Delayed fuse warheads penetrated storage tanks before detonating, mixing industrial chemicals into toxic burning liquid that spread across the complex. The pressurized clean rooms ruptured, their volatile gases, nitrogen, argon, hydrogen, turning precision manufacturing spaces into fuel air bombs. By 0837, the final wave didn't need sophisticated targeting. Below, dozens of fires merged into a single inferno. Ammunition cooking off in random directions, chemical clouds drifting across Cheboksary. The last 52 drones simply selected any structure still standing. Russia's premier precision weapons facility, protected by state-of-the-art air defenses, lay in ruins. The Kometa production line, which had been in development for 2 decades, would require complete rebuilding. Ukraine had traded $68 million in drones for a strategic victory worth billions, proving that even a superpower's critical infrastructure is vulnerable in the age of AI-guided swarms. Bye for now.